That line doesn't work. Oh, no, that one. I put food in there the first time I came here. I had that shit. I was like, what is going on?
Hey y'all, I'm just getting ready to eat a little something. Sure ain't do the food test. Y'all know my big fat ass. I just ran away from home. That's all. I ran away from my husband for the week. I ran away. I had to run away.
Nobody packed a suitcase. Nobody announced a separation. But suddenly Karlissa wasn't where she was supposed to be. And that's when the internet's eyebrows hit the ceiling. 1 minute it's business as usual. The next minute whispers start. Flying that Karlissa ran straight to Blueface's house like it was an emergency shelter for family drama. No press statement, no calm explanation, just movement. And when people move in silence, the internet fills in the noise. This wasn't a casual visit. At least not according to social media detectives who treat every location change like a crime scene update. The moment her name got linked to Blueface's house, timelines erupted. Marriage trouble rumors started sprinting faster than facts, and suddenly Trouble in Paradise was the headline nobody could ignore. This wasn't tea anymore. This was boiling water with the lid flying off. Fans didn't ask if something was wrong, they decided something was wrong. Why leave home? Why go there? Why now? Every question came loaded with assumptions. And every assumption felt like it already knew the answer. People started connecting dots that may or may not exist. But once the dots are viral, logic doesn't matter. It felt like a secret just leaked without anyone officially leaking it. And the wildest part is this: when family drama involves Blueface, it never stays private. It multiplies. It mutates. It turns into content whether anyone consents or not. Karlissa running to Blueface's house didn't just raise eyebrows, it lit a flare in the middle of the internet. Because when marriage, loyalty, and chaos collide in this family, history tells us one thing: calm is never invited. The moment Karlissa's location shifted, the internet noticed before the door even closed behind her. Nobody announced anything, nobody confirmed anything. But suddenly she wasn't at home, and that was enough to start the speculation machine. When whispers spread that she ran straight to Blueface's house, social media reacted like someone had pulled a fire alarm in a quiet building. Marriage trouble rumors didn't walk into the room. They kicked the door down, and once that narrative landed, it refused to sit quietly. This wasn't just about where she went, it was about what that move symbolized. In internet logic, people don't leave their husbands and show up at their son's house unless something is wrong. That assumption spread faster than facts ever could. Fans started asking questions that already sounded like accusations. The timeline didn't wait for confirmation, it wrote its own explanation. Karlissa's history made the situation even messier. This is a woman who never avoids the spotlight and never whispers when she can speak loudly. She's been vocal, opinionated, and unapologetic about family drama before, which meant silence now felt suspicious. When someone known for talking suddenly goes quiet, people don't assume peace, they assume chaos. And chaos is exactly what everyone expected. The Blueface connection turned the situation from rumor into spectacle. Any story tied to him automatically comes with baggage, drama, and a long memory. His house isn't just a house in the public imagination. It's a recurring setting in multiple viral sagas. Showing up there doesn't look like a casual visit. It looks like a statement. And the internet treats statements like evidence. Speculation exploded about what could have pushed Karlissa to make that move. Some said it was a heated argument. Others whispered about long-standing marital tension finally boiling over. A few claimed it was strategic. a power move meant to shift attention, or control a narrative. None of these theories came with proof, but proof has never been a requirement for virality. Confidence is all the internet needs. Fans split into camps almost immediately. One side framed Karlissa as a woman seeking safety and family support. During a difficult moment, the other side painted her as dramatic, impulsive, and fueling chaos by involving Blueface yet again. Both sides spoke with absolute certainty. Neither side actually knew what happened. What made the situation escalate faster was how familiar it felt. People have seen this family dynamic play out publicly before, and familiarity breeds assumptions. Past arguments, livestream blow-ups, and public statements were dragged back into the conversation like receipts from a drawer nobody ever cleans out. Context got cherry-picked to fit whichever narrative someone wanted to push. The past became ammunition. The silence from Karlissa's husband only intensified the fire. No denial, no clarification, no calm explanation. In the internet courtroom, silence is treated like an admission. People started reading into what wasn't said just as much as what was. The absence of information became its own headline. Meanwhile, content creators rushed in like it was open season. Reaction videos popped up, timelines filled with side-by-side screenshots, and commentary channels treated the rumor like confirmed fact. Words like allegedly were thrown in just enough to dodge responsibility. Engagement skyrocketed while clarity disappeared. The story fed itself, the language surrounding. The situation quickly shifted from curiosity to judgment. People weren't asking why anymore. They were deciding who was at fault. Marriage speculation turned personal, invasive, and cruel. Strangers debated the private dynamics of a relationship they've never been part of. The internet doesn't respect boundaries when drama is involved. Blueface's role in all of this added another layer of tension. His name alone carries controversy, and any proximity to him magnifies situations instantly. Fans speculated about conversations happening behind closed doors, about influence, about manipulation. The house became a symbol, not just a place. Symbols travel faster than truth. Supporters of Karlissa pushed back hard against what they saw as unfair assumptions. They reminded everyone that visiting your child during a difficult moment isn't a crime. They questioned why people immediately assumed betrayal or collapse instead of support. But defense online often sounds like guilt to those already convinced. The pushback didn't flow the narrative. It sharpened it. Critics argued that this wasn't just about support. It was about pattern. They claimed history mattered and that this move fit too neatly into past chaos to be coincidence. They dissected timing, tone, and past statements to build their case, whether accurate or not. The argument sounded convincing enough to spread. And spread it did. As the story grew, nuance vanished completely. There was no room for maybe, possibly, or we don't know. Everything became absolute, dramatic, and emotionally charged. The internet doesn't thrive on uncertainty. It thrives on declarations, and declarations were everywhere. By the end of this phase, the situation had fully transformed. What started as a rumor became a narrative, and that narrative became accepted. Truth in many corners of the internet. Karlissa's move wasn't just a move anymore. It was a message people believed they understood. The question was no longer if there was trouble at home, but how bad it really was. And as the noise continued to rise, one thing became clear: this story wasn't slowing down. Too many people were invested, too many opinions were locked in, and too many clicks were being generated. Whatever happened next, it wasn't going to stay quiet. The drama had officially arrived. Once the rumor escaped the group chats and hit the wider timeline, the situation stopped being speculation and turned into spectacle. This was no longer a quiet maybe something's wrong moment. It was a full-blown internet event. Reaction videos flooded feeds like breaking news alerts, each creator acting like they had exclusive access to a family meeting they were never invited to. The louder the take, the more credible it sounded to casual viewers. Volume replaced verification. Memes arrived right on schedule. Because the internet processes chaos through humor before anything else. Screenshots of Karlissa were paired with dramatic captions suggesting secret arguments, midnight escapes, and emotional blow-ups that nobody could actually confirm. Blueface's house became a character in the story, treated like a reality show set where drama automatically spawns. It was giving less family visit and more season finale cliffhanger, and people ate it up. Celebrity-adjacent commentary slipped into the mix in subtle but strategic ways. A few public figures posted vague quotes about loyalty, peace, and choosing family, which only fueled speculation further. Nothing was named directly, but the timing did all the talking. The internet doesn't need names, it just needs hints. Hints turn into headlines faster than facts ever could. TikTok turned into the rumors' main engine, where theories stacked on top of each other like a Jenga tower built from assumptions. Some creators claimed inside sources, others just said allegedly and kept going. Audio was dissected, past live streams resurfaced, and unrelated clips were stitched together to form a narrative that felt convincing enough to believe. Context was optional, confidence was required, and confidence was everywhere. The comparison game went into overdrive, because no scandal is complete without dramatic analogies. People compared the situation to reality TV marriages imploding on camera, saying this felt like a lost episode of Love and Hip Hop with no producers to stop it. Others said it had Kardashian-level chaos, but without the filters. Exaggeration made the story feel bigger than it was, and bigger stories travel faster. Logic didn't stand a chance. Fans split even harder at this stage, and the divide got personal. One side insisted Karlissa was doing what any mother would do when things yet tense at home. The other side claimed this move was reckless, dramatic, and guaranteed to stir chaos. Each side spoke like it had receipts, even when none existed. Online arguments aren't about truth. They're about dominance. The husband's continued silence became its own storyline. No statement, no clarification, no denial. In internet culture, silence isn't neutral, it's suspicious. People started reading intention into absence, crafting narratives around what wasn't being said. The lack of response gave rumors room to breathe, and breathe they did. Blueface's history ensured the speculation stayed loud. His past family drama made people assume this wasn't a coincidence, but a pattern repeating itself. Any association with him automatically triggers alarm bells for audiences conditioned by past chaos. Whether fair or not, history framed perception, and perception online is everything. Content creators leaned fully into the mess because this was prime engagement territory. Thumbnails screamed marriage over and trouble in paradise with zero hesitation. Commentary channels spoke in absolutes while legally protecting themselves with one quiet allegedly. The story became a product, packaged for clicks. Truth was secondary. Supporters tried to inject reason into the discourse, reminding people that families argue and adults relocate temporarily without divorces exploding. They pointed out how quickly people assume the worst when women take control of their space. But reason struggles in viral environments. Calm explanations don't trend. Critics pushed back even harder, arguing that timing matters and optics matter. They claimed that if nothing was wrong, this move wouldn't look the way it did. The argument wasn't based on facts, it was based on vibes, and vibes are incredibly persuasive online. Enough repetition turns assumption into belief. As the narrative expanded, it began to feel inevitable. Casual viewers entered the conversation halfway through and accepted the loudest version as truth. They didn't see the beginning, only the drama peak. That's how misinformation spreads, without anyone lying outright. Momentum does the work. What started as a location change had now evolved into a supposed marriage crisis in the public emoji nation. The internet had decided this was a breakdown, not a break. Every new comment reinforced that belief. And once a story reaches this stage, walking it back becomes nearly impossible. By the end of this phase, the situation had fully detached from reality. It was no longer about where Karlissa went. But what people believed it meant, the narrative, had grown a life of its own, fueled by speculation, engagement, and emotional investment. And as always, when the internet finishes building a story, it immediately wants consequences because drama online doesn't feel complete until something breaks, a statement, a confrontation, a fallout, and with pressure mounting from every direction, it felt less like a question of if something would happen, and more like when done by the time the speculation settled into something that felt permanent. The consequences were already unfolding quietly. What began as a rumor about Karlissa's sudden move had evolved into a full-blown judgment of her marriage, her intentions, and her loyalty. People weren't asking what actually happened anymore. They were arguing over what they believed happened. Once belief replaces curiosity, the internet stops searching for answers. It starts demanding outcomes. Karlissa herself became less of a person and more of a symbol. To some, she represented a woman choosing family over conflict, prioritizing peace over appearances. To others, she became the face of instability. Accused of stirring drama simply by existing near it, the reality of her marriage was irrelevant. To both sides, what mattered was how the story made people feel. The silence from her husband continued to echo louder than any statement could have in the digital world. Absence is interpreted as guilt, confusion, or surrender, depending on who's watching. That silence allowed every rumor to breathe freely, growing legs and running unchecked. People filled the gaps with assumptions that sounded convincing enough to repeat, and repetition is how speculation becomes known. Blueface's presence in the situation ensured the narrative stayed explosive. His history turned every detail into a red flag in the eyes of the audience. Even neutral actions were framed as manipulation or strategy. Fair or not, his name shaped the storyline before facts ever had a chance. Association alone became evidence. Behind the scenes, reputations absorb the shockwaves. Public perception doesn't need confirmation to shift. It just needs momentum. Even without official statements or confirmed fallout, the damage can still occur. Conversations happen quietly. Opportunities hesitate, and trust becomes conditional. In celebrity culture, uncertainty is often worse than scandal. Supporters remained vocal, calling out what they saw as internet overreach and moral theater. They argued that marriage is complex, family dynamics are private, and movement doesn't equal collapse. They reminded people that no relationship owes strangers transparency. That argument resonated with some, but it didn't stop the noise. Loud narratives rarely surrendered to reason. Critics, however, felt vindicated simply by the lack of clarity. To them, unanswered questions were proof enough. They leaned into the idea that where there's smoke, there's fire, ignoring how often the internet manufactures smoke on its own. Suspicion became the default setting. And default settings are hard to change. As days passed, the urgency faded, but the impression stayed. Casual viewers carried the story forward in fragments, repeating it without context. Didn't she run away? Became the shorthand version of something far more complicated. That's how reputations get flattened. Complexity doesn't survive retelling. Karlissa's next moves were watched intensely. No matter how ordinary they were, every appearance was scrutinized for clues. Every silence interpreted as strategy. Once someone is labeled controversial, neutrality becomes impossible. The audience expects drama even when none exists, and expectation often creates its own reality. The marriage itself became a background character, discussed endlessly without participation. Strangers debated its health, its future, and its authenticity as if it were a TV storyline. The couple's actual experience mattered less than the audience's projection. That's the cost of living publicly in a culture that confuses access with ownership. What this moment ultimately revealed was how fragile privacy becomes once speculation takes hold. A single move can trigger a cascade of assumptions that no explanation can fully stop. The internet doesn't wait for confirmation because confirmation isn't entertaining. Mystery is far more profitable. And mystery invites judgment. As the cycle slowed, attention drifted toward the next trending topic. But this story didn't disappear. It simply went dormant, waiting to be revived by the next family interaction, the next rumor, the next screenshot. Viral culture never deletes stories, it archives them. And archive narratives resurface when you least expect it. This wasn't the end of the drama, it was a pause. In families already familiar with public chaos, moments like this become reference points for future scrutiny. The past gets dragged into the present, shaping reactions before anything even happens. Memory online is selective, but it's persistent data at its core. This wasn't just about Karlissa running to Blueface's house. It was about how quickly movement becomes meaning online, how silence becomes accusation, how proximity becomes proof, and how little space there is for human complexity once the internet decides a story is juicy enough to keep alive. Is this chapter closed? One thing was undeniable. The narrative had escaped the people it was about. Whether the marriage was fine, fractured, or somewhere in between no longer mattered. The internet had already written its version. And once that happens, the truth doesn't end the story. It just competes with it. And just like that, the internet decided it knew everything, without knowing anything at all. A location change turned into a marriage meltdown, silence turned into suspicion, and one move became a full-blown storyline. That's how fast narratives get written online, where assumptions travel first class and facts miss the flight. Today, it's Karlissa, tomorrow it's someone else, and the cycle never really slows down. If this felt messy, that's because viral culture is built that way. Now if you made it this far, you already understand how these stories really work. You see the headlines, the fake certainty, the sources say with no sources in sight. That's why this channel exists, to break down the chaos, call out the exaggeration, and expose how quickly the internet turns real people into reality TV. No filters, no fake outrage. Just the drama decoded exactly as it plays out. And if that sounds like your kind of breakdown, you're already in the right place. So do the internet a favor and do what it understands best. Smash that like button like it owes you money and just tried to ghost you. Drop a comment and tell us what you really think. Not the safe answer, the honest one. Do you think this was blown out of proportion? Or do you believe there's more hiding behind the silence? Either way, the comment section is already warming up. And before you scroll off to the next scandal, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Drama doesn't come with a schedule, and we don't miss when it hits. New stories, fresh chaos, and zero sugarcoating, all in one place, until the next rumor turns into a headline. Remember this, the internet never waits for the truth, it waits for the drama. This is Celeb Sync, where the mess stays loud and the real story.